Hey everyone, and welcome back to Everlasting Summer. Last time we were here, I took a very sharp turn down Alisa Road. I didn't actually plan on doing so, but, things happen. Here we go. There was soap and clean towels, so I quickly washed myself, went outside and breathed in a chest full of fresh night air. It's so wonderful that physical cleanliness brings spiritual cleanliness. All of my problems, if not went away, then at least became less important. It's like the water washed away not only dirt from the body, but also the anxiety from my mind. I suddenly started yawning, so I headed to the leader's cabin, rubbing my eyes. I didn't take even a few steps before Alisa jumped out from the bushes. You, what are you doing here? I was just washing myself. Obviously. She came to her senses and spoke again. And what? How should I know? What? Why are you being so hostile all of a sudden? Why do you speak if you don't know? Like, what do you want me to say? All my peace of mind vanished in a moment, only the irritation and the weariness remained. Okay, well, if you don't mind... Wait. Now what? If back there on stage you thought that, well, I didn't want to offend you or anything. It's okay, I'm not offended. I just can't play the guitar, nothing special, a lot of people can't. I felt that there was obvious signs of irritation in my voice, but I couldn't do anything about it. I wanted to say everything to her face right here and right now. Exactly, you can't. Alisa obviously restrained herself from laughing. Can you not? We already went through this. Don't need to go through it again. No, I've already had enough of you. She totally drove me out of my wits at that moment. In another second, I would have started to yell at her. Or worse. Wait. Would you just leave me alone? Alisa followed me but didn't try to stop me. I really didn't want to offend. If you didn't want to offend, you wouldn't be laughing at me. Constantly. Some invisible power made me turn around. Okay, can I go now? Yeah, of course. In the moonlight, Alisa looked very beautiful with a brief, guilty expression on her face. If she could only keep her mouth shut. Maybe more or less about keeping your mouth shut and more about, actually thinking before she says stuff. What are you smirking at? Although, nothing. I just thought that. If only you were a little bit more polite. Then what? I shouldn't say such things. People could get ideas depending on their intellectual abilities. Semyon. Semyon? Then nothing. You should finish what you started. There's nothing to finish. I'm very tired and I'm going to sleep. Stop right there. Why? Leave me alone, it's so late. Don't make me run away from you. Oh yes, quite the threat you have there, Semyon. As if you could. She may be right. I am already exhausted from the stay, and naturally I had no intention of running after a bath. So what? What? If only I would be more polite, then what? Try it and you'll see. Why should I do anything for a fool like you? Then don't try. What does it have to do with me? I sighed and dragged myself to the square. And what about you, then? What? I replied without turning to her. Well, if I would, then you... We're kind of going in circles right now, Alisa. Can we just not? I don't know what you're talking about, but let's think that I would. if it is easier for you. Moron. This was the worst conversation. A looping conversation that made no sense. Alisa yelled at me and headed to the bathhouse. The square shined with the cleanness of a German road, which were washed with shampoo, or so people said. That's a waste of shampoo. A road's gonna get dirty, no matter what. That's Slavia for you. And I just argued with Alisa and nothing else. What for? As if it was really necessary. And her behavior. In any other situation I would have surely said that Alisa likes me and just hides it behind her rudeness. That's not important right now, though. Relationships, love, anything. Maybe she isn't even human. And what if she was a human and all this was happening in the real world? But I'm hallucinating everything else. I drove those thoughts away and headed to the leader's cabin. Tiredness had overwhelmed me. It was like an invisible obstacle stopped me in front of the door. Olga Dmitrievna certainly would like to know where I was and why I missed the dance. Just say you were, enjoying a really long bath. I'll get a full interrogation for sure. Counting the absence of Alisa at the dance too, it wouldn't be hard to guess that we skipped it together. On the other hand, should I even tell her that instead of going to the dance, Alisa practiced playing the guitar and I just went along with the flow? Nothing special, actually. Doesn't really matter why I left. So, at the same time I thought that it could be better to keep silent. Well, I'll decide on the spot. I'll just wing it. I sighed and pulled the door handle. Olga Dmitrievna was already waiting for me wearing a dress. So, Semyon, where have you been? I can tell her that I was with Alisa, or I can make up another excuse. And though I want to know what excuse he's gonna say, we're going all in. We're throwing all our chips into Alisa. We're throwing all our chips at Alisa. To tell the truth, I was at the stage with Alisa. And what did you do there? Played the guitar. Okay, that's not important. Why didn't you come to the ball? Well, frankly speaking, I don't like dancing. So what? That was a camp public event, which means every pioneer had to attend. She looked at me intently. You could just sit somewhere quietly. Oh, that's boring. That's the worst thing you could say. Just, you have to come to the ball. Now go sit in a corner. I'm sorry. Not really. I sighed. Okay. The leader softened. Go to bed quickly. The storm had passed. I don't understand why she stayed in her dress. I would have changed out, like, immediately. I mean, he's been gone for a while, it seems. I tossed and turned but couldn't sleep. My head was full of thoughts about music, guitars, and Alisa. I wonder, could I become a professional musician? And do I even want to be one? Why should I want to? It certainly would be fun, but nothing else. Where's Alisa the reason? She really is like an energy vampire sucking all your juices. Wink. My eyes started to close and I fell asleep a moment after. I looked at Alisa attentively and suddenly remembered yesterday evening. Her strange behavior, our quarrel. But now she looked like usual. Maybe there's no need to say anything to her. Though I wasn't going to. At the end of the day, everything that happened that night stopped seeming unusual, as if it was all just a dream. I believe this point is we're looking for Shurik. And last time I tried to go see who the bag person was. I don't know if it matters. I chose a boathouse this time. Maybe Shurik decided to pick up stones near the water. In the worst case, I'll find his corpse. But I'm sure that it won't end up that way. I was crossing the square when somebody called out to me. Wait. Alisa came up and smiled. I immediately sensed a trap. Where are you going? I'm searching for Shurik. Olga Dimitrievna asked me to. And how is it? Exciting? She looked intently into my eyes and I turned away awkwardly. Not really. But you know, a pioneer's missing. Surely you're not freaking out over such a minor thing. What do you... That's not minor. This is a serious situation, Alisa. There is a missing pioneer and we need to find him. In an alternate reality, I know exactly where he is. In this one, I am currently still looking for him. What do you mean? Only a few hours have passed. Maybe he just lost track of time while having a walk. Certainly I'd have the same idea, but I wasn't telling her that. Yeah, that's true. But who knows what could have happened. Let me help you with it. With what? I got suspicious. With looking for Shurik. Oh, but I can do it. I don't need your help. Oh, come on. She smiled at me, but there was something malevolent in that smile. Naturally, her smile was cute enough, but it really seemed to me like there was something behind it. Well, if you insist. Since I could not understand what's on her mind, I had no real reason to refuse. But before we go, I have to get one thing from home. Okay, I'll wait for you. You're actually serious about just standing there? Let's go. Okay. But I'm going to stand back, like 3 meters. We approached Alisa's cabin. It would just be like all the other cabins, if not for the Jolly Roger on the door. I was thinking about Jolly Ranchers, and now I really want candy. By the way, Uliana is my roommate. Okay. Sounds terrible. Sounds like a prank waiting to happen. Ooh, posters. Oh, look at it, kitty cat. And then... Is that this, like, who Ganda's supposed to be in that middle one? It looks like hockey. I don't know jack squat about hockey, so... honestly, I don't know jack squat about any sport, so... And then we have, like, some Japanese, and a Jew guitar, and then another thing that looks like flowers. What else do we have in your room? A mess? Nothing else interesting. We entered the cabin. The complete chaos inside really reminded me of my old flat. That's not really that messy, honestly. It could be messier. Like more stuff on the floor. Though why I thought of it as old. In general, I would imagine a girl's room differently. Snow white sheets, walls, floor, and ceiling shining, spotless. Well, you're being stereotypical. But when you consider the 2 most exemplary pioneers are living here, we just stood silently for some time. And what did you need to get? I would have been more surprised if this place was actually, like, organized and clean. And what did you need to get? Huh? Seems like I interrupted Alisa's thinking. Yeah. It's not here, actually. Wait here, I'll be back in a minute. What? I'm not gonna stand in here. Oh, no, my cursor. I'm not gonna stand in here. I'd rather stand outside. I don't trust anyone. She smiled and ran out. She seemed really flaky today. I began to examine the room. I wouldn't say that there had been an explosion, it was just a decent mess. Not really. Like, seriously, there's still some prime space right there that you could just leave just about anything. Well, at least by looking at all this mess created in one pioneer session, I can surely say that I'm not the messiest person in the world. The decoration of my apartment took years to be completed. That mold? Years. Those mushrooms? More years. That really confusing thing in the corner that if you squint, it looks like a person? Took about a day. It just appeared. I don't know what it is. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, I was just looking around the room. Posters of Soviet artists, some books on the shelves, various household items. And then I realized that everything is wrong. Something will happen soon. Something bad. Why did Alisa leave me here all alone? There was something I had to discover. My gut told me that it's dangerous to stay here. So I jumped out the window. I went to the door and tried to open it. Locked. What a surprise. How did she manage to quietly lock me in? What? How are you locked inside? I don't know what's on her mind, but I need to get out of here. Through the window! I went to the window, opened it, and climbed out. Now I can go and take care of business, or... I chose the second option and waited. Why? What was the reason she had me locked up? I wanted to know what was happening, plus I really wanted to see Alisa's face when she finds her room empty. I hid in the bushes next to the house and waited. You know, last time you hid in the bushes, something bad happened. I mean, it wasn't especially bad, you just made a bad decision. After some time I heard footsteps. Alisa and Olga Dmitrievna came to the house. You'll see everything for yourself. She opened the door and went in. A few seconds later she ran back out. You know, Alisa's face looked as if she just won the mouse catching competition, but at the last moment found out that it's not a real Olympic sport. Or a real mouse. So he just disappeared? Olga Dmitrievna asked skeptically. I still stuttered. I did the right thing by closing the window after myself. Oh no. You know, I understand everything, Divcheskia. I'm never going to be able to say her name without feeling like it's a tongue twister. You and your roommate, every time the same thing. Haven't you had enough yet? But it's true. Really, one story after another. Semyon in your cabin, Semyon harassing you. Why do you keep lying? That's horrible. What? Can I reverse out of here? Can I reverse off this road? This is a mess. Alisa seemed upset, and to my surprise was not trying to argue. On one hand, it was funny to look at, but on the other, I felt bad for Divcheskia. She deserves it, though. Yeah, she does. Our leader finally finished scolding her and left. Alisa was mad. She clenched her fists and trembled. Her face was flushed. It seemed to me that she was going to explode. I don't know why you're getting so mad. I sat in the bushes and laughed quietly. However, I was wondering what was on her mind, and I came out of my hiding place not afraid of being beaten. So what exactly did you want to show the leader? Me? Alisa turned and looked at me with disbelief. After a moment, surprise turned to anger. You! What about me? She calmed down a bit. I wanted to take revenge. Revenge for what? For what? Really, what did I do to this girl to warrant revenge? You beat me in cards. Really? You're actually being super petty right now. But a fantastic reason. No doubt. I see. Maybe I should apologize to you, I asked sarcastically. Screw you. I jumped a little bit. I got a wee bit scared. She went into the house slamming the door. I wasn't angry at Alisa. I was just really disappointed. In the end, I'd expect her to do something like this. Anyway, I got through it without consequence. I was very lucky. Her confusion and embarrassment just made my day. Chuckling, I left Alisa's cabin, which was about to become my death trap. Well, I was planning to go towards the bus stop earlier, so let's go to the bus stop. And last time we tried to go to that one other place. I'm not even sure if Bag Person is a real person. Because the pictures are really tiny and I don't recognize anything, so honestly, I could just assume that it's Semyon. But the other person doesn't look like Olga at all. So that's why I'm assuming Bag Person's a real person. I will never know until I know. The bus stop seemed to be a fine choice. A strange thought came across me. Perhaps Shurik is in the same situation as me, and so he decided to run away from this camp, maybe by the 410 bus. It could really turn out to be true if he came here by accident too, although the chances of that are quite slim. But you never know. What if the bus would really come? However, I could hardly believe in that. Indeed, I spent a couple of minutes waiting at the bus stop, made sure that there was no signs of Shurik or anyone here, and headed back to the camp. Ugh. Somebody rushed out from behind the gate and bumped into me. The impact wasn't strong, so I just staggered. It's Miku. Miku stood in front of me and rubbed her bruised forehead. Oh, sorry. It's alright. It's my fault. I was going to the music club, but got lost and thought about a new song. You know, thinking up the lyrics and music. I hadn't realized how I got here. So you don't have to apologize. Her words per minute rate obviously exceeded the recognition limits of my brain. I didn't like the way I did her voice before, which was attempting to do how quickly she said things. So, we're gonna go slow, because why not? I made an attempt to retreat promptly. I need to get away. Sure, I gotta go, you know. I'm not gonna... No! She's gonna lure me! I can't deal with this right now. I'm on a mission. Oh, wait. I wanted to leave as usual without having to listen to her, but Miku grabbed my hand. Her grasp gave me the creeps as I got a clear vision of an agonizing execution by another rap session. Can you help me a little, please? Just a teensy-weensy bit. That definitely wasn't on my to-do list today. Well, I'd be glad to, but it's... Pretty, please? Miku looked at me with such puppy dog eyes that my heart started to melt. She totally wasn't going to let go of my hand. And what help exactly do you need? You'll accompany me. I can't manage to compose on my own. I can sing or play. I can't do both at the same time. Even our virtuoso... What? Even our virtuoso has her weaknesses. Wait, what the frick is that? Hold on. I don't understand this sentence. Go... Google... Virtuoso. Oh, a person highly skilled in music or other artistic pursuit. That makes a lot more sense than me thinking virtue. And I'm like, that really doesn't make any sense. I'm really confused. Even our virtuoso has her weaknesses. Well, you know, I can't really play any instrument. Never mind that. I'll show you everything. Come on, let's go. Oh, no. It's the Miku Road. I have to turn away. Go with Miku? Don't go with Miku. I'm gonna have to say no, Miku. I love you to bits, but I'm gonna have to say no. We have to focus on going down the Alisa road. You know, I should be searching for Shurik and all that stuff. Miku looked at me with frustration. Just for a little bit. I was lost for words. She dragged me along with her. Probably nothing good will come of this, but the only way to get her off me is to wrestle my hand out of hers. But that wouldn't be very nice. Nothing bad will happen after all. Probably. We went anyways, but we're definitely not getting points. Within a minute, we were already standing in the music club. Miku took a guitar. Here, have a look. She sat down and started playing. I tried to follow her hands. The tune seemed quite simple. It seemed quite easy to repeat it. Got it? Kind of. Let's try. I took the guitar and started playing. It didn't really work out. Let me show you one more time. She played much better than me. Looking at Miku, I wondered. Of course, she was a chatterbox. She was naive and clumsy. However, she was extremely talented in music. Try again. I managed much better the second time. Wow, that's much better. She smiled. It wasn't hard, in fact, just repeat the same notes over and over. Just don't lose track. Start on my command. Okay. Ready, go. It was a song in Japanese. Frankly speaking, I didn't understand a single word, but Miku's singing was quite good. In fact, it was outstanding. She put her heart in every note, every word. Yeah, music probably is the very thing for her to dedicate her life to. It seemed like it wasn't her who chose the music, but the music that has chosen her. The last half an hour presented Miku in a completely different light. Oh, thank you. Did you like it? I finally managed it with you. On my own, it's not so good. I either mess up with the words or miss the strings. And it's just perfect with you. Thank you so much. You really have a talent, you know. Just to play like that without any preparation? Nope. Seems I changed my opinion about her too hastily. Thanks for the song. Gotta go, see you. Thanks for... The rest of her words were left behind the door. I leaned on the wall of the club cabin and sighed. Miku's song was still playing in my mind. I went for lunch with mixed feelings, with a sense of accomplishment and with a realization of time wasted. The canteen was crowded. I couldn't stay unnoticed. Olga Dmitrievna called me. Semyon, come with us. The camp leader, Slavia, and Electronic were sitting at the 4th-seat table. I nodded and went to get my food. This time I had to spend several minutes in the queue. Today's menu didn't really differ from the other day's menus. The dishes looked the same, at least. This is Semyon as acting nurse. Last time I did not give her the activated carbon, and this time I will give her the activated carbon. But you never know. What if she really has an ache? Okay. I reached into the drawer and got out a packet of activated carbon. Thanks. She wrested it from my hand and ran away. It was 15 minutes till dinner and the nurse still wasn't back. I guess just leaving the place like this won't do. She asked me to look after it, after all. Last time I didn't eat the apple. This time I'm gonna eat that dang apple. Gimme. Finally hunger prevailed and I started chewing on the ripe green apple with gusto. Its taste seemed normal, though I didn't think that even the strongest poison can be tasted. But it's too late to think about that. It was time to go for dinner. Yummy, yummy. God dang it. Besides, he gave me the activated carbine. She pointed at me with her finger. The whole square stared at me. I was acting nurse. I thought she had a stomachache, so I can't just be all like, no. What if I was wrong? Thoughts about the pointlessness of this act due to the small bomb size left me at that very moment. She stole it. I did nothing. Even if he gave it to you, I'm sure that Semyon would never take part in such disgusting antisocial act. We just gotta throw lies left and right. This is a terrible relationship. Yes, exactly. I agreed. I could hardly imagine how long she would have kept on scolding Alisa if Electronic hadn't popped out at that very moment shouting, "Oh, yes, we get to go to the spooky, scary place, and we're gonna drag Alisa with us. And Devcheskia goes with you." It was as if Olga Dmitrievna had read my mind. Why's that? Well, who tried to blow up the monument? And if that wasn't enough, who also tried to slander Semyon? She said it in such a voice that Alisa did not dare to argue. Happy now? She blurted once we were left alone. What do I have to do with this? Was it me who tried to blow up the monument? Alisa grunted and turned away. I'm not going anywhere with you. Oh, please don't. Great then. Excellent. We stood silently for a while, not looking at each other. I dared break the silence first. Is that all? All what? All that you wanted to tell me? Yes, that's all. Do you mind if I inquire why you tried to blow up the monument? I was bored. Oh, right. Blowing it up would have definitely cheered you up. Rolls eyes. Alisa seemed really reluctant to go with me, so I went by myself anyways. As for me, however, I've decided to find Shurik after all. It wasn't him who interested me the most, but the abandoned camp. For some reason I had a feeling that I might find out something there, and I really did not like the idea of going alone at night. So you scared then? Are you daring me? She gave me a sarcastic smile. Oh no, I'd never. Good luck if you're staying then. I turned around and started walking in the direction where the old camp should have been. Alisa caught up with me at the forest edge. Wait up. I'm going with you. Why did you deign to change your mind all of a sudden? I asked ironically. Is that ironic? That doesn't seem like an ironic thing to say. But then again, I'm terrible with irony, so... You don't need to know. She snarled and handed me a flashlight. That was quite wise. I don't know what I would have done there alone in the dark if it wasn't for Alisa. I would have stood there and cried. Electronic had told us the old building was built right after the war. It looked like a kindergarten, or like a barracks I expected, and definitely could hold fewer pioneers than today's camp. It had been abandoned for about 20 years. The night forest was completely unlike during the day. Just a couple of hours ago it seemed like just a small grove, where even a blind man wouldn't get lost. However, as the darkness fell, the trees seemed to grow up. The bushes suddenly took up all the free space, and the paths, so wide in the daylight, turned into barely visible waves in the dark green forest ocean. The final strokes to this picture were the birds, the insects, and the beasts who were giving a concert, each with its own instrument, creating together an amazing yet frightening nocturnal symphony. We walked slowly, Alisa a bit ahead of me in her wake, trying not to fall too far behind. She acts self-assured to a fault. Absolutely not like me. Every rustle of the bushes nearby or a hoot of an owl overhead made me cringe and look around timidly. Of course, it was obvious that there was not much to fear here. The local woods weren't likely to be teeming with wild beasts, and it seemed there were no people at all in this world apart from those in the camp. However, the fear was there on the instinctive level, and I tried to walk carefully and to stay as watchful as I could. Discretion is the better part of valor, after all. Alisa stopped suddenly. So suddenly that I nearly bumped into her. Now where? What? Well, straight ahead, I guess. Are you sure? I tried to figure out the directions. It looks like we were going the right way. Man, you got there so easy last time by yourself. Or at least the way suggested by electronic. However, without a map, without a GPS, or GLONASS navigation, I wasn't even sure that we were still on the same planet, wherever it was. We haven't taken any turns, we've been walking straight forward all the time, just as electronic said. I think it was Mythbusters. They did something like this, where even if you continue to walk ahead, you somehow, make a circle or something. It's just no matter if you think you're so sure that you're walking ahead without any sort of navigation, you're not walking straight. You're not making a straight line. Then why haven't we made it to the old camp yet? And how should I know? Alisa's rude way of talking was already getting on my nerves. This is a horrible idea. Are we already lost? Why would you say that? We're barely a kilometer away from the camp. So what? She looked visibly sadder. So nothing. If you don't like it, you can go back. Alisa eyed me disappointedly for a while, and then her face changed sharply. What? She's constantly, expecting too much out of Semyon. Sweetheart, no one can read your mind. You're gonna have to say what you want. Especially if you're talking to Semyon, who's just gonna get hostile right back at you. Well, I will then. She suddenly turned around and started marching briskly back towards the camp. Good luck there, I shouted as she was going. However, Alisa may be right, and we're in fact lost. In which case, it's not a good idea to stay here alone. The cool night breeze blew stronger and I shivered. But going after her would mean losing face, even worse, admitting she's right. No, I'm not ready to accept that. I could have probably spent until morning arguing with myself about this, if it weren't for Alisa's scream. My legs carried me on their own towards where she went. About 20 meters on, I nearly fell into a hole, just managing to jump over it at the last moment. As for Alisa, it looked like she had not managed to. I was about to point the flashlight into the darkness when I realized that she'd taken it with her. Well, that had to be expected. Are you alive? Yeah. Her muffled voice sounded up from below. Did you break anything? Hell if I know, idiot. Does anything hurt? Everything. I just fell down. A light flickered in the hole. I stepped closer and bent it to examine how deep it was. The crumbling hole went about 3 meters into the depths, but it was pitch black below. Help me get out, Alisa yelled angrily. And how do you imagine I should do that? I don't know, think of something. Man, you never know jack squat. Well, what do you see now? Describe it. I feel like Alisa's constant saying, I don't know, after she antagonizes you, feels a lot worse than Lena and her constant, inability to pick something that she likes, or whatever it was. Well, it's sort of a tunnel and... Nah, it's just a tunnel. A tunnel? That's weird. Come on, get down here. Is that the best idea you have? I'd rather run to the camp for a rope. You're gonna leave me alone here? Alisa's voice lost much of its impudence. But you're alone down there anyway. Hey! She cried out loud and directed the flashlight right into my eyes. Ah! Well, don't panic. Trolls aren't gonna eat you there. I'll be back in a flash. Alisa was screaming herself into a fit from down below, but I couldn't make out the words. However, I only managed to take a few steps before the ground yielded under my feet, and before I knew it, I was tumbling down. I grabbed a thin root that somehow slowed down my fall. But it snapped under my weight and went flying down with me. You're alive. I barely opened one eye as I felt a shearing spotlight upon me. Ugh, put it away. Alisa was squatting next to me and looking at me in a nervous manner. Any limbs broken? I don't know. I moved my hand and feet. Everything seemed to be fine. Given the height, I was pretty lucky to make it down alive. I barely managed to stand up and examine the crash site. Indeed, we were in some kind of long corridor. There was some kind of heavy wiring all along the walls, and lamps encased in heavy metal holders attached to the ceiling. And in any other situation, I would have guessed that it's a subway service tunnel. But it was hardly likely that Semyon has already reached such a level of infrastructure. Where are we? I don't know, but we have to get out of here. I'm not dying down here. Climbing the crumbled wall was hardly an option. In fact, I was wondering how we even survived a fall from such a height. Well, it seems that we've got to find an exit somewhere else. How do we do that? Alisa asked, slowly turning pale. Not a single trace of her usual arrogance remained on her face. Well, I guess there's got to be an exit here, right? Probably, but which way do we go? Now that's a good question. At first glance, it seemed like a good idea to head towards the camp, at least in the direction I thought it was, but I hadn't seen anything there that resembled an exit from the catacombs. And that means that we should rather try the opposite direction. Give me that. I snatched a flashlight from Alisa's hand and pointed its light into the darkness. That way. Oh, she's there. We were slowly proceeding forward, with Alisa keeping a firm grip on my hand. Where? I don't see her holding your hand. Liar. In other circumstances, I might have been surprised, embarrassed, or even rejoiced. How should I know? But right now, I was just eager to get out of here as soon as possible. You're really thinking about her holding your hand? So sad. I like the shading done on here. My bruises from the fall were aching. The blood was pulsing in my head like a heavy pendulum. Even the flickering spotlight that kept illuminating the same cement walls continually wasn't exactly raising our morale. Damn, there's also Shurik. What? Why did we go into the night forest in the first place? To find Shurik. Oh, just forget him. He might have fallen down here just like us. Of course, Alisa has a point. This wasn't exactly the best time to engage in a search mission. If we don't manage to get out, there would be a search mission for us instead. But I couldn't just take my mind off this thought. It was as if Shurik was standing right before my eyes, giving me a reproachful look. Look out! Alisa yelled. I almost crashed into a massive metal door. A biohazard sign immediately caught my eye. This means that we're in a bomb shelter. I mumbled under my breath. Yeah, I've heard of something like that. You have? Why didn't you mention it before? How would I know it'd be important? I guess you're right. Fine. I grasped the metal wheel and pushed it as hard as I could, trying to turn it. The rusty metal grated, but refused to budge. Stop slacking, help me! Alisa hesitated a little, but then grasped the handle and started to pull. Apparently, lone Semyon is the strongest Semyon. Finally, we managed to turn the wheel and the door opened. It was hard to mistake the room we entered for anything else. It was definitely a bomb shelter. Think there's canned goods in here? Cabinets full of gas masks and dry rations, lots of equipment, bunk beds, and air recirculation systems. There was everything one would need to survive a nuclear war. Are the dry rations still edible? Well, at least to survive the first blast. Alisa clenched my arm even tighter. What is it? What? She blabbered under her breath. I'm scared. What are you scared of? Indeed, what of? We tumbled down into an abandoned bomb shelter, and now we're wandering here in the dark trying to find an exit. Oh yeah, nothing to be afraid of. Those thoughts made me squirm, and I instinctively drew near to Alisa. She didn't say a thing, just blushed a little and turned her back to me. Well, in any case. What? We have to keep searching for an exit. Well, there's another door. Indeed, there was a door on the far wall, just like the one that we came in through. However, no matter how hard I tried to open it, it was stuck. Need some help? No, it's jammed for good. I glanced around the room, trying to find something that would work as a lever, and noticed a crowbar in the far corner. Great. Alisa gave me a blank stare. Watch it. However, I still couldn't move the handle an inch, even using the crowbar. Totally exhausted, I flopped on a neatly made bunk and gave a sigh. We have to walk back. But we just came from there. Alisa seemed to regain a bit of her self-control as well as her usual rudeness. Well, you can stay here if you want. There's water, ration kits, probably the radio's still working. She looked at me spitefully but said nothing. My whole body ached terribly. It was only now I tried to relax that I began to realize how badly. A deep wound on my leg was bleeding profusely, my hands were heavily bruised, blood was thickening in my hair. Oh, Jesus, Semyon. And are you okay? I asked Alisa, either just out of courtesy or because I was really worried about her. It took her some time to answer. Well, I mean, look at you. You look like you're probably, dying. It took her some time to answer. How can we be okay in a situation like this? I'm talking about physically. Mentally... Well, I mean that. I pointed to the wound on my leg. Oh, cried Alisa. We need to sanitize it urgently. No need, I'll survive. You're gonna get a gross infection, Semyon. Oh, stop. We would do it or you'll risk it getting infected and then they'll take your leg off. My granddad lost his leg that way in the war. Alisa looked truly concerned and I decided not to argue. Okay, but it's kind of a long way to the infirmary. Isn't there a first aid kit down here? Hang on. She smiled and started to rummage through the cabinets. There's a fair chance of finding some kind of medicine in a bomb shelter, and soon enough Alisa pulled out a first aid kit with a triumphant look. Okay, hold still. Well, I'll try. Treating the wound with an iodine-soaked cotton swab felt like the touch of a red-hot iron. I clenched my teeth hard and hissed with pain. Oh, come on, it's not that painful. It is. Maybe you should try yourself. It was easier with my other wounds, and soon enough, I looked like a leopard, all covered in brown spots. Thanks. Don't think that was anything special. We just had to treat your injuries. Alisa snorted and turned her back to me. Sure. I refrained from arguing and got up from the bunk. Even a short rest had definitely been good for me. Well, shall we go? Alisa clenched my arm, walking close in step with me. We headed back slowly, carefully looking for a hole in the ceiling. The tunnel seemed endless. We couldn't find the place where we fell down, not after 5 nor even 10 minutes. Are we lost? Alisa asked sadly. It might be possible to get lost in the forest. It just came to me that that's exactly what we'd accomplished half an hour ago, so to refrain scaring her even further, I continued with confidence. But this is a single straight tunnel. You can't get lost here. So where are we going to end up then? My words didn't seem to calm Alisa down enough. We'll get out of here. There's always an exit. Really? Of course, there is. The workers that built it somehow got back up to the surface, didn't they? Yeah, I guess. It appeared that she was trying hard to look as bold as usual, but it wasn't turning out well. In the dim light, it was evident that Alisa was shivering. A look of extreme exertion was plastered on her face. Might as well just hang out in the bomb shelter. Fine, let's move forward. In a few minutes I noticed a hole in the floor. It looked like a small crater, large enough to get ourselves through. What's down there? Hell if I know. I kneeled and pointed the light downwards, damp ground, some kind of rail tracks. Must be a mine. Alisa looked at me questioningly. Of course we could easily sidestep the hole, but my instincts insisted that we wouldn't encounter anything good proceeding down the tunnel either. There would be either a dead end or yet another jammed door. On the other hand, it was naive to believe that we would find an exit in the mines. You just get more lost. We could give it a try. In the worst case, we'll just come back. It's low enough to let us climb back up later. Her face took on a suffering expression, then Alisa turned away from the light and quietly said, "If you say so." As I thought, we were in a mine. Miles of rust-eaten tracks stretched far away down the corridors. I could virtually see the overloaded mine carts creaking along these tracks ages ago. The walls were propped up by rotten beams and water occasionally dripped from the ceiling. I wasn't sure whether it was scarier here or in the catacombs of the bomb shelter above. I'd say that up there, it was like a post-apocalyptic setting, and down here, occult medievalism reigned. In any case, I was even more eager to get out of here, and do so as soon as possible. Alisa didn't utter a word after we descended into the mine. She just walked next to me, clenching my hand so hard I started to worry. "Are you alright?" "No," she said quietly. "I understand that it can't be okay, but how are you holding up?" "Fine," she replied with that indifferent voice. "That's good, because I really wanted to say because if you go nuts too, it's gonna be a massacre. Because we'll find an exit. We'll definitely find one." "Yeah." It seemed she wouldn't last much longer. We should go faster. I quickened my steps and we reached a fork after a couple dozen meters. Well... So which way? Alisa seemed to have completely disconnected from the outer world and didn't worry about what would happen to us or how we could leave this place. Well, let's think. To the left or to the right? And what if we get lost? I decided to put a mark on the wall in case we got lost and return to the spot again. Soon a large cross scratched with stone decorated one of the beams. So now we're ready to go. Finally, we came out of the tunnel into some kind of hall with a high ceiling. Though it could hardly be called a hall, they must be used to mine something here. Coal, probably, or maybe gold. The walls had been cut by pickaxes or pneumatic drills. This place was pitch black, so our only salvation was a flashlight. If it breaks, it's unlikely that we'll ever get out of here. I noticed a red piece of cloth in its light. It was a pioneer's neckerchief. Shurik was obviously here somewhere. "Shurik? Shurik!" Only my echo responded to me. "Why are you shouting? It's not like he can hear you. You never know." Alisa didn't reply, just sighed. There was no other exit from this hall. Obviously, it's quite possible that there are some nooks in these tunnels we haven't checked yet, so we have to keep looking. Following the curve, I saw a wooden door in the torchlight. "There you go. Here's something." "You think so?" Alisa looked a little refreshed. "Sure. Frankly speaking, I really wasn't sure that there would be an exit behind the store. But it wasn't like we had any other choice anyway." I pulled the handle. We found ourselves in some kind of room that resembled either a boiler room or a utility room under the bomb shelter. Empty bottles, cigarette butts, and other bits of debris littered the floor. That proves that there's an exit from these caves. I scanned the room with a flashlight, and in the furthest corner I saw Shurik, doubled over and trembling all over. "Shurik."
Who is that?"
he stammered. "Shurik, we've been looking for you all night, and you're just sitting there? Get up."
"I'm not going anywhere."
He started quietly, but with every word his voice gained strength until he was shouting at the top of his lungs.
"No, I won't go with you anywhere. You don't exist. You weren't here anyway. It's a hallucination. It's unscientific. Yeah, unscientific.
What do you mean by you aren't here? Here we are. We came searching for you. Alisa had remained silent until now, but then she let go of my hand and took a few steps toward Shurik. What are you doing? I asked quietly. She hesitated for a moment, but proceeded as if not hearing me. Oh. Finally, having come close to the lost pioneer, Alisa fetched him a scathing slap across the face. You. We nearly died while searching for you. Those damned woods at night, that bomb shelter, these freaking mines. I'm one mass of bruises thanks to you. And you what? You're just hanging out, drinking booze and seeing pink spiders, you bastard? Shurik stared at her with a bemused look. Now then, get your ass up and move.
No.
He began to whisper quietly.
No.
Somewhere deep inside me, on the very edge of my awareness, I got a feeling that something really bad was going to happen now. It happened. A premonition, intuition, or just an analysis of the situation from the way Shurik was sitting or the expression on his face hinted at his following actions. And probably all of that together, I rushed to Alisa, the light furiously jumping all over the room and highlighting Shurik's face for a second, twisted with madness. He was wielding a metal rod, and if I had been a moment too late, he would definitely have smashed in Alisa's head with it. But I made it. Everything was like a dream. The distant shout of a girl, a hollow thud, the flashlight going out, and the eerie silence, except for the heavy breathing of Shurik. It took me a while to come to my senses. What are you doing, you jerk? I checked my arm and it felt okay. The blow landed on the flashlight. So now we were in complete darkness.
You won't get it. Won't get me.
Shurik's hysterical laughter was quickly fading away in the distance. Hey, where are you going? Get back here now.
Won't get.
The yell vanished into the distance. What a freak. Oh no, Shurik is gone now. I've tried to fix the flashlight in the darkness. No way. Shurik has smashed it into pieces with his rod. Then I suddenly thought of Alisa. Are you okay? I've heard a quiet sob, and at the same instant I felt her embrace hugging me tightly. Okay. It's all over now. Everything's fine. Well, in fact, nothing was fine, but I needed her to get a grip on herself, otherwise we'd stand no chance of getting out of here alive. I tenderly caressed her head. I wonder, Alisa crying, is that a funny thing? Maybe in a different circumstance. I'm scared. That's okay, I'm scared too. I noticed a strong and sudden transformation in Alisa. But what the heck, anyone would be scared in this circumstance. Moreover, she's a girl. Hey. Well, why wasn't I scared? No, not scared. Why am I still able to keep my mind clear and speak sense? Might it be because I have to worry about more than just myself? Okay, come on. We have to get out of here anyway. Hold on just a sec, said Alisa quietly, and the room became illuminated by the dim flicker of a lighter's flame. Where did that come from? The statue. She forced a gentle smile and handed me the lighter. All right. I quickly swept my eyes over the room, searching for something that could be used as a torch. There were some tattered rags and a rod among the debris on the floor. One of the bottles contained some liquid that smelled like industrial alcohol. Convenient. For better or for worse, in a minute I was holding something that resembled a flaming torch in my hands. I don't know how long it'll last, so we gotta move quickly. Where to? Alisa seemed to be returning to her senses. Let's go back. At least we'll reach the bomb shelter. For one thing, there's light there. She gave me a quiet nod and took my hand. The torch was burning poorly. We had to reignite it every other minute. One didn't have to be an oracle to predict an extremely short lifespan for that rag we were using. I became more and more afraid that we wouldn't leave the darkness in the mine. You couldn't rely too much on just a lighter. However, we reached the hole that led up to the catacombs quite fast. It seems that I memorized the route after all. We struggled to get up, scrambling over the rocks almost blindly. Okay, where are we going now? Asked Alisa, getting her breath back. What do you mean? We're going to that room with the bunks and cabinets. Which way is that? I opened my mouth to reply, but suddenly realized that I had not the slightest idea. The hole looked the same from all sides, just like the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. We had not a single hint to indicate the right direction. Well... Don't you know? Alisa asked sadly and sat on the ground. No. I replied quietly, put out the torch to preserve it, and sat next to her. Are we going to die here? She rested her head upon my shoulder. Alisa's voice sounded flat, one might even say calm, but I could feel that her body was trembling, either with cold or with fear, or with both combined. Don't be silly. Sure, things are getting worse, but we're also pretty far from... We're gonna die. They'll come and rescue us in the morning. Olga Dmitrievna will call the police, so... I would love to believe that myself. I see. Yeah. Wee woo, wee woo. I lost track of time sitting there. I was afraid to go forward or backward. I was afraid to make a choice, as our torch definitely wouldn't last both ways. Wandering in total darkness, without any source of light, was definitely worse than waiting for the rescue here. This way, at least, we would have some light left for an emergency. Suddenly, a rumbling started echoing in the distance. Well, here's that emergency. It was definitely the clank of door bolts mixed in that rumbling. Get up. I harshly pulled Alisa to her feet and lit the torch with shaking hands. What is it? She asked in dismay. I don't know, but it seemed like there's someone. We have to run. To be honest, I wasn't sure that was such a good idea. What if the mad Shurik is there? And in fact, that's the least of all the evils I can imagine. But we had no choice left. The stones scattered beneath our feet. I desperately tried not to fall down, holding my hand with the torch out in front and dragging Alisa with the other. She ran along in silence, breathing heavily. I really wanted to look back at her, but I didn't have the strength or time. Finally, the outline of the open door appeared before us, and I leaped into the bomb shelter, readying myself to fight any foe that was there. But the room was empty. I swept my eyes across the room, trying hard to spot hidden monsters, Shurik, or any other evil entity, but it was all exactly the same as it was the first time we'd been here. Except for the door, the second door. It was open. Somebody passed through here. I spoke up triumphantly. Who? Don't know. Maybe it was Shurik. But how did he manage to open it? Who the hell cares? Come on. There was another corridor behind the door, and it was ascending slowly. So we're getting closer to the surface. I was right. After several hundreds of feet, I stumbled upon a ladder leading to the small hatch on the ceiling. It didn't take much effort to open it. What's up there? Who cares? It's better than staying down here anyway. I climbed the ladder and found myself surrounded by gloom. However, this gloom was definitely lighter than the darkness of the catacombs. As my eyes got more used to it, the outlines of the walls, the ladder, and the door leading to the outside were emerging in the pale moonlight. I helped Alisa to climb up, and we literally sprang out of the building. The exit from the catacombs was located in some sort of ruined building that resembled either a nursery or a country school. It must be the old camp. Alisa sat on one of the swings and wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. I see. So we found it after all. I smiled involuntarily. What are you laughing at? She frowned and pouted with displeasure. To put it shortly, she'd returned to her usual self. So it's not so scary here anymore? I wasn't scared there either. Oh, come on. That's right, I wasn't. Whatever. I was angry. I really felt hurt because of Alisa. If not for me, she would have still been down there in that damn mine. Where are you going? She asked in a less self-assured voice as I turned and walked slowly toward the camp. Back to camp. Hey! Alisa jumped up right away and started to walk toward me. Walk next to me. For a moment I wanted to say something nasty, but I wasn't ready to start the next argument. We found the path we had taken before surprisingly fast, even the 2 holes we'd fallen into. It was only about 200 meters from the old camp. I stopped at the square and turned to Alisa. Well... She looked uncertain, even confused. Then... Sure. Deep inside I wanted to yell at her, to scold her, even to insult her. On the other hand, I wanted to have a meaningful conversation. In the end, I just kept silent, turned around and slowly headed towards the leader's cabin. But something persistently disturbed the quiet of the night. I keenly listened to it and realized that it was snoring. Of Shurik, who was sleeping peacefully on a bench. Hey! I called Alisa, who hadn't walked too far away. Get up, you! Shurik slowly came to his senses and stared at us blankly.
Oh, is it morning already?
Morning? Yeah, sure. Sometimes one acts first, thinks later. Of course, it all starts in the brain, then the current comes through the neural links, thereby transmitting the command to the body. Shurik, don't need to be a nerd right now. But sometimes the subconsciousness just works faster than the consciousness. That's exactly why my fist swung and smacked Shurik in the gut, and it was only then that I realized what I'd done. He coughed, trying to catch his breath, and writhed in pain on the bench. What the hell was that about? I already felt bad about it. I shouldn't have treated him so rough.
What are you talking about?
Shurik looked at me in shock. In the mine!
What mine?
He turned his head completely confused.
Why am I here? Why are you here?
Stop fooling around. Alisa barged into the conversation. You nearly killed me, and now you're going to pretend like nothing happened?
What happened?
You really don't remember?
Not a thing.
Okay, so what's the last thing you do remember? Shurik tried to concentrate.
Well, I was on my way to the old camp in the morning. I knew I could find some hardware for the robot there, so... And that's all. I don't recall anything since then I just woke up here.
I let out a heavy sigh as I turned away. Well, go ahead. Sweet dreams. Hey, where are you? I ignored Alisa and stumbled away to Olga Demetrina's cabin. She stayed, arguing with Shurik. I was totally expecting there to be something different. I was not really expecting Alisa to suddenly get so terrified, or the way things turned out that they fell through a hole. Of course, now this brings me back to the fact that Semyon is super injured and should probably get that checked out. Just because you disinfected the injuries does not mean that you don't have a concussion. I'm surprised that Alisa apparently didn't get injured as Semyon did. Semyon seemed like he just got out of heavy fire. He's wounded in his leg. He probably has a bunch of other cuts. His head was bleeding, apparently. So he should definitely go check with the nurse instead of going to Olga. It's a lot worse than last time when he just hurt his fists or arms or whatever. My current thoughts with Alisa's route is that this is a relationship I would not want to be a part of. I am not down with the fact that just because we want at cards, of all things, it's a really petty thing to want to harass Semyon over. And I didn't feel bad at all when Olga yelled at her for it. It's such a stupid thing. But, of course, going through that moment in the mines didn't really change Alisa. I mean, maybe it could be a bonding thing later on, but I guess for now, considering it was a high-stress situation. Oh man, she could have actually died. And Shurik just freaking went off. He must have used his just like, I'm trying to figure out a word specifically that isn't crazy. Whatever. He just used his out of his mind strength to open that door. I mean, at least they got out. I wonder how, now I'm beginning to wonder how, going through the mines is gonna be with everyone else. Slavia seems like she'd be pretty calm. I don't know about Uliana. Uliana might end up being very troublesome, or, you know, she might be a lot more, what's the word? I don't remember what the word is, I'm just gonna say knowledgeable. She might have a little more knowledge on how to deal with the situation, maybe not. Lena, considering that I think that I'm very certain she will be the scary portion, Lena might end up being the worst case. Who else can we go with? Was Miku an option, or was it just those girls? I don't know. This is a significant chunk, and I'm really curious to see what everyone else's attitude is going to be in the same situation, and if there's going to be different ways that they get through it. I feel like Slavia might end up, like, actually being able to go to the camp, rather than us falling through the floor. So dangerous. Should definitely get that checked out. Somebody needs to make sure that, like, no one else ends up falling through the ground. Jeez. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Hope you have a good day and a good night. Bye-bye.